Come on. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Smoke Meteoras, the podcast where we go beyond the championships and beyond the characters to uncover the moments that shaped the people behind them. Today's guest has built a career around mastering the craft of professional wrestling, from the independent scene to WWE, from competitor to coach, producer, and mentor. Today's conversation isn't just about where he's been, it's about why he's never stopped. So please join me in welcoming Drew fucking Gulak.
Wow. Dropping the F-bomb too. You had that sweet rock music playing and I was rocking out to it and then it just cuts and then you give me that sweet intro. Thank you so much.
Of course, man. How you doing today? It's great to have you.
I'm doing great. Yeah, today was an early one for me. I was up late streaming on my Twitch, which has been a lot of fun lately. And now I'm awake and ready for an interview.
Well, let's just jump right on in then. So, before wrestling was ever a thing, who was Drew Gulak as a kid? What kind of kid were you growing up?
What kind of kid was I growing up? I don't know. I think I always kind of liked wrestling growing up, but I tried to get along with everybody. I played a lot of sports when I was little. I did baseball, and I would go to summer camp during the summers, and we'd play everything there. Yeah, I don't know. I like to have fun. I like Power Rangers when I was little. I like Ninja Turtles. I was a spoiled '90s kid growing up, and yeah, grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia until I was 10, and then I moved into the city. Yeah, stayed there till high school and then started wrestling then, and then college in Philly, and eventually WWE came calling and I snuck down to Florida, and here I am.
So, were you always naturally competitive, or were you just simply fascinated by how things worked?
Oh, I don't know. It's kind of, I think as far as being competitive goes, I always wanted to do well. I played those team sports, and I had a lot of confidence in myself, but I didn't necessarily have to be the best and have to compete with everybody. I didn't have that attitude, and I still don't have that attitude. I just, I enjoyed whatever I was doing, if I was lucky enough to do it for the most part. And yeah, that kind of carried me through. So as far as learning, being a learner goes, yeah, I'm just, when I'm passionate about something, I want to find out what makes it tick and what makes it work. And I do that for everything. I got a degree in psychology, I think, because of it. So yeah, I like understanding the way things get put together, the way things can lead to different outcomes. So wrestling has a lot of that as a performance art built into it, and I think that just makes it more fun, for me to try to play with it.
So, what do you think it was that initially pulled you towards wrestling?
It was a social aspect to it. There was a friend of mine named Wayne. He passed away maybe 15 or so years ago. But when we were little, I would go over to his house and they would always have the pay-per-views on. My parents didn't really watch wrestling. They didn't discourage me from getting into it, but it wasn't their thing. But him and his family, they were watching every single pay-per-view at the time, the Royal Rumbles and stuff. So when I was little, to me, Hulk Hogan was the greatest, and Razor Ramon was the coolest, and then The Undertaker was the scariest, and then Shawn Michaels was this boisterous personality, and I don't know, it was a really good time to be a kid and watch wrestling. Was that little golden era of WWF, and I think just the kind of bigness of it is what drew me into it, and the characters too. When I was little, the Macho Man was like a normal dude to me. That guy walks around hunched over and pointing at stuff randomly and like, and talks with a crazy voice. And I'm like, yeah, that's Macho Man Randy Savage. That's who that is all the time. Um, like the big boss fan to me was like, that's a yes, of course the police officer is gonna fight in the wrestling match and try to pin people, you know. Bam Bam Big, like the characters are what drew me in, like being so big and over the top and got me hooked on it. And then it was just like this perfect little ride of like growing up. And then, along comes Bret Hart. And then, the Attitude Era kind of starts when you're like a preteen into a teenager. And that carried me right up to when I discovered wrestling for myself. So I think that just being able to grow up with it and the content changing with my psyche at the time too, it like really helped fuel each other. And I know I'm not alone. Like there's tons of people my age group who grew up watching the same stuff and like got hooked the same way. And it's funny because you'll hear them talk about it and they're like, yeah, I stopped watching about this time to this time, and I'd be like, oh, I kind of did too. And it's all like congruent. So I think just that perfect storm of programming, having access to it, and then eventually like I had a mentor in middle school. One of my teachers was like a huge wrestling fan, and he would go to all the local shows, and that's how I found Combat Zone Wrestling. And one thing led to another. I just started training.
So, I love how that you bring up like everybody stopped watching wrestling at a certain point, because funny enough for me, that was when I had started watching like the mainstream stuff. I was introduced to the indies before I was introduced to WWE and all of that. So I had been
Yeah.
watching like Sasha Banks on the indies or Tommaso Ciampa on the indies. And like when they had finally made it was when I had started watching, which was slightly after everybody had stopped watching.
Yeah, you kind of grew up getting to know these people and then, supporting them as they went off to try something really cool. And then you got to see them actually live it out, on this grand scale, and you got to watch other people find out what you already knew. That's a really cool journey to take.
So, was there ever one wrestler who made you think like I want to understand how they do this, not just imitate it?
It's tricky. Like, I don't know if it was just one wrestler that made me want to understand it, because I remember being little and watching wrestling regularly, and then going out in the back of the house with like a friend of mine and trying to drop kick them, and then falling on the ground and like just destroying my body. I just remember being so hurt by like jumping and falling down. I'm like, surely they gotta, it can't be that bad. They do it all the time. And then when I landed, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna do that again. So that made me like, you know, obviously want to know the tricks of the trade. Then there's the side of me that like would at the same time watch those matches and see the guy, waiting down there like this for the person on the top rope to jump off with the elbow drop. And I'm like, dude, just move out of the way. Just roll over. Rolling over is easy. So like there was a part of me that was like, I could do that. I could get out of the way. And this is when I was a kid, then as I got older and like really wanted to understand like the mechanics and the tricks of it, you have a good understanding of it if you're somewhat observant, but then when you see it in person, up close, like I did with Combat Zone Wrestling, you start seeing the differences. Like some stuff's way better in person, and then some stuff just based on the maybe the lack of experience or maybe the lack of production just comes off way worse in a sense. So that made me kind of try to want to get better at it and like really learn and step into the ring and learn it. Yeah, I wouldn't even say it was like the style or the taste of wrestling. I think it's more about the community that I was a part of.
So, looking back, what lesson do you believe wrestling taught you before life even had the chance to?
Hmm. I mean that wrestling kind of is my life, so it's not even that it didn't get a chance to. That's a good question. Let's see. I mean, it really just kind of confirmed for me to like follow your heart, if that makes sense. You know, it's easy to get caught up and be afraid and overthink things. But if you really do like something, um, like, and you have an interest in it and you want to try something, like, go for it. Like that's one thing that wrestling definitely kind of reinforced for me.
And what is something that you misunderstood about wrestling before ever stepping foot in a ring for yourself?
Um, Let me think. Something that I misunderstood about it. You hit me with all the deep questions. This is my first cup of coffee.
It's
Let's see.
noon.
Like I said, I had a really early schedule today. Um,
I told you to go to bed last night at like 10:30.
I gotta be there for my Twitch community. Um, let's see, something that I didn't understand before. I mean, it would be like, I think what's really important, what the building blocks are that are important. Like, you see them, but I think the deeper you become immersed in, like, the fan base and the culture, and the more you like to watch it as a fan without actually having practiced it yourself. And then as you start to practice it yourself, you hyper focus on things that are probably not super important. Um, it happens all the time, and I think it's normal for people who are learning as they go. And then the more experience you get, uh, you start to realize that there's a lot of bigger picture things at play, and that if you lean into those things, it's a lot easier actually to have fun and have an effective performance of it. So it's all technical.
Absolutely. So if you were to sit across from yourself today and look at you on your first day of training, what is the first thing that you would tell yourself?
I would say go get back in the gym. Like, I was pretty active in high school in the gym. I was actually lifting pretty consistently in high school. I would say stick with that. Maybe eat more. Like, it would be all mechanical stuff to help me kind of prepare for later. I would say, I would teach myself how to manage money better earlier. I think that's important. How to, like, build investments and diversify, and, like, how to secure assets, and just kind of, be a little bit more mature in that sense, as opposed to just like, hey, whatever happens happens. um which that's just part of my learning style. I would just kind of offer that kind of advice, be like, hey, if you do this, you'll get this, and I would take myself and show me how to do it.
So you've always been someone who has struck me as obsessed with the craft itself. So where did that curiosity come from?
Being upset, I don't know, I think it just, I really love it. I really do. I love I just love how, like, wacky it is, and how fun it is, and how physical it can be as a performance art. And I love the creativity that you can have with it. um I love the feeling that people have when they question what they're watching, from a performance standpoint. um and I love helping people, like, see different aspects of it too, that they didn't even realize was a thing. So, that's really fun. It's helping people kind of discover, um what the possibilities are. I think that's where that kind of came in play, is that I just like helping people understand.
So do you believe that anyone can become a great wrestler, or does someone have to genuinely love studying wrestling?
I mean, it helps. It certainly helps when you enjoy it, you know. Um, and it takes practice too. It's like anything, I think, in life. I mean, some people are naturally going to be more gifted at certain skill sets that lend itself to wrestling. Um, but if you don't love it, you're not going to spend the time on it. So how do you define, like, what being great at something is, right? So if you would have to spend at least a little bit of time on it, I think.
And what was the biggest lesson that you learned competing on the independent scene that stuck with you before going to WWE?
Just to kind of, like, stay focused and stay humble. Like, on the indies, you're really just you're just grinding. They call it the grind. You're grinding. But how you carry yourself there, if you carry yourself professionally enough, when the stakes are not as high, then it won't be as hard when the stakes are high. You know what I mean? So I think having just a good work ethic, it helps you. It helps you build a work ethic more than anything.
So, Catch Point, your school has become one of the most respected technical groups out there at this point.
Yeah.
At the time, did you realize you were building something that would influence future generations?
You mean when I started the school?
Yes.
I mean, that was the hope. You know, when I started the school, it was really out of a necessity to have somewhere to train where I didn't feel like I had to ask someone to use their ring. I never stopped coaching people throughout my entire career at WWE, and even like before then, it started when I was very new in wrestling because our attitude was pay it forward, help the next class that comes in after you. So I just, coaching was always a part of my career and my journey. And when I was in WWE, I walked away from training at the Chikara school at the time. So I had a lot of kids there that, I didn't get to necessarily spend tons of time with. So I'd still go back to Philly when I could, and I'd pop in and teach class, or I'd jump on a video and show you how to clean a title belt or something fun like that. And then, I had a lot of students who came up through combat zone wrestling who were, still new in their career, guys like Wheeler Yuta and Connor Claxton and Frankie Picard and that whole class, and then Brittany Blake, and then before then, even guys like Adam Cole, like Kid Osborne, and the Rep, Nate Wallace and Dave McCall, and AJ Winkler, and just a lot of, and Mia Yim, and just a bunch of students that I'd help mentor, throughout my time. And it's just that to me, it's never a cutoff. Like if I stop class doesn't stop when class is over. To me, it's we continue together. So if you're going through something and need assistance or help, or if I see something where I think you might need a little help, I always reach out. So that never shut off. Yeah, so with Catchpoint, when that came around, it was literally like, all right, I'm tired of asking other people for a ring. Let me go see what I can do. And I went right to WWE's talent relations. I was like, hey, I have a business plan. Check it out. And they approved it. And I opened up the school in 2023. And Philadelphia just happened to be the first location that worked out. I had enough people that I respected there who could work as trainers, and people that I knew who were in my circle. And with Catchpoint, it's all about flexibility and community, and supporting each other. Like that's really like the thing that we do. So like Catchpoint has like a reputation for like technical wrestling based on where the name comes from its time in Evolve, where we were like a technical wrestling stable and helped like kind of change the style of wrestling for the future at that time. And it just, it only made sense to kind of keep that name for the school too.
And when did technical wrestling become more than just a style and start feeling like more of a philosophy for you?
For me, I think it was definitely a few years into my training. When I got into class early one time, Chris Hero was at the arena by himself, sitting on the bleachers. This is the ECW arena where we trained. So I got there, I sat with him on the bleachers. He had his little portable DVD player, and he had a burned DVD of old World of Sport wrestling matches. I think the first one we watched together was Johnny Saint versus Steve Gray. Steve Gray became like my all-time number one. Johnny Saint, of course, is a legend. So we just watched that together. Like he was showing me it, and I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen that footage. Like I knew the names, but I never really watched it. And when I watched it, everything just kind of made sense to me. Like there was no like there was no stop and start between the characters and the sport itself. Everything blended together perfectly, and they had they had rules that they all rigorously followed, which added to the drama. And once I realized that you can, that you should be doing more stuff like that, then all the advice I'd heard from like the old heads at the time, like guys like Les Thatcher, like really clicked with me. So that's when it's sort of like, okay, it's not just like a style, it's really like a base for what we do. And if you have that base, you can take it in any direction you want. But once you start to take that base out of it, it loses its identity. Like as far as like a wrestling match, it becomes just something else.
And what is something about ring psychology that casual fans almost never notice?
Oh, I feel like there's tons of stuff that casual fans don't notice, you know.
Ooh, tell me.
Well, we'd really just have to watch a match together, and then we can sort of just discuss things that are going on. Um, when we talk about ring psychology too, there's different levels of it. It's there's the physical acting that we do, that can dictate how a crowd feels about a person or not. Um, and then there's the storytelling and the atmosphere that goes into it as well, which is all the build up. Here's one I'll give you that I think is good advice for newer wrestlers. Um, Most of the trends that happen in pro wrestling, it comes from watching like a really popular match at its peak at the time, making a lot of noise. So, for example, if there's like a main event at an AEW pay per view, right, that's like really exciting going on, you're going to hear most of the fan base talk about it, and a lot of the younger wrestlers are still fans, at heart, and they watch all that stuff. So they'll see how awesome a sequence goes in a match, and they'll be like, I'm going to try that on the show, and we got to do more stuff like that, right? Not realizing that the context behind what they just watched was a main event that had 6 months of storytelling built up into it, whereas their match is probably going to be like an 8 to 10 or some kind of a multi-man spot in the middle of a card on an independent show where the crowd's really just getting to know you. So without having that relationship, you'll go out and try the same kind of thing, and you might get an occasional response on the movement side of things, but you're not going to have the emotional connection that the match that you just watched, for a bunch of different reasons. And I think that's where people get lost, and they wind up pushing very hard towards a style and think that that's what's going to excite the fan base, when at the end of the day it's always going to be some kind of a connection, whether it's a positive or a negative connection. And that's how you can really like bring people in and immerse them in what we're doing.
1,000%. And even on an independent level, for my own sake, like I've always said that I'm a huge fan of the high flyers and the lucha style.
Ooh,
I
ooh,
love the spot
no
monkeys,
fly
I can't
zone.
lie. But when it comes down to it, like obviously that's not your style, and you're one of my favorite guys.
Thank
It's
you.
At the end of the day, it's about, for me anyway, it's the way they connect with the fans.
Hmm.
So I mean, you could be, we'll say Tyree Taylor, for instance, in this case, not a high flyer, definitely not your style either. But just the way that he interacts with the fans, not only in ring, but out of the ring at his merch table, is, I love it. The way he interacts with people, and he's not afraid to shy, like he doesn't shy away from the fans mainly. There's a lot of people that I'll see out there that I feel maybe aren't comfortable being in front of a crowd right away, and that is readable as hell.
Yeah.
And it comes off awkward sometimes, and it's a learning process. And I'm
Yeah.
not gonna knock anybody for having the balls to get out there in front of people to do it, because I definitely won't. But it takes time. People grow on me. I'll give them that. So moving on. If you had 1 hour to teach someone what makes professional wrestling special, what would be the very first lesson?
Well, let's go back a second. Hold on. So you were talking about um, people being nervous in front of crowds, and you're also talking about Tyree and how he interacts with people at the merch table, and how that can, affect a relationship and a performance too, right? Um, there's two sides to that coin. So when you're performing on a show, and you're supposed to be portraying a character in the ring, right? Depending on what emotion you want the crowd to have, uh, do you believe, should you or should you not keep the same character as you would at the merch table or in person as you're interacting with the fan base during the show.
During the show?
Yeah. Like the merch, if I'm at the merch table and I'm a big bad guy, right?
I mean,
how we interact.
it depends on who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, for Beyond's instance, like Channing Thomas, when he's at his merch tables, I mean, Sydney Bacabella is his mouthpiece, but he's still out at the tables hounding everybody to come buy his merch and everything. And that's
He's a
great.
great
I
example.
love Channing and I love Sydney for that. Like, I love to see that. But then, like, there's some of the heels that you see that pretend like they don't even want to interact with you. And, like, in a merch table sense, like, I understand wanting to stay in character, but you're also trying to push your merch on people too. And if you're just sitting there on your phone,
that is the trade-off. Right? So there's a trade-off. So if I am trying to generate like a reaction from an audience as a character, that I just want them to want to see me get my ass kicked. Right? That's the end of the game. I don't want them to like be buddies with me. I want them to see me get my like really enjoy watching me get beat up. You know, as a performer, you have to make those decisions and be careful about, you know, crossing that line too much, because if you start getting an emotional reaction in the other direction, then it becomes more we're playing along as opposed to really feeling, you know, the act. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah.
To some fans, in a sense, I mean, being around for as long as I have, like, I have a little bit more of that insider eye for certain things, but to a blind fan that's just going to a show that may have never been before or a handful of shows, like, I can understand it in that sense.
Right. And that's ideally the I'm not saying, you know, you don't want to play to the hardcore fans, the people who are really into it and the lifelong supporters. Like, of course, that's your bread and butter. If you are tapping into the emotions that reach a casual fan or want to bring them back to see you get your butt whipped more, or tell their friends about it and bring those people over, now we're talking about growing, you know, an audience as opposed to just maintaining. So there's a lot of different nuances to it that I think are really important, and I think whether or not you think it's right or wrong to follow it as an independent talent, I think you just got to be aware of it. That's all. As long as you're aware of it, you can make those decisions yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Tyree, I think it's really great that he's able to kind of just be, you know, take parts of himself from his performance, and then he's able to, you know, still be himself at the merch table. So it kind of plays off of one another.
I like the people that are like themselves that I just end up being friends with.
There you go. Well, see, you're also the very top of the wrestling fandom, you know, as far as look at your wall behind you.
I mean, I've been around for so fucking long.
That too. You've stuck with it. You've been around.
Like, I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with like New England scene guys, but like I remember my very first show, like the main event was Maverick Wild and Kid Crazy. Those are names you don't hear anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure.
All right. So, what do you believe is a misconception that people have about technical wrestling?
I think a misconception would be that it just has to be like hold for hold. I just call it hold for hold if you're gonna, you know, get down and do that kind of thing. Like technical wrestling is to me is about proficiency, you know, and just making sure you know, you're not wasting movement. I think that's a misconception too. I think a lot of people who think that they're good technical wrestlers, they do a lot of extra moving around to be really technically sound, you know. When I think technically sound, I think about proficiency. That's what it means to me. So it could literally flow with any style you want. You could be a technically sound high flyer as long as your technique is correct and effective. You could be a technically sound hardcore wrestler. You know, that's the difference to me.
All right. So you've competed, you've coached, you've produced, and you've mentored, but which role has taught you the most?
Oh, coaching for sure. Coaching always teaches you the most. I could get out there and play with an audience and learn that side of it as much as I can. But when I'm in there with you know, whether it's one student or a group of students who are trying to take a lesson, every single one of those individuals, are bringing their story through learning the craft, as opposed to bringing their story to sitting in the audience and observing my performance. I have to get them to create their own performance. So just it exponentially increases the number of like differences and nuances you're going to find when you're up close with a person. So I always take more from learning from people and their different stories and stuff. And I try to approach performing in the same way too. You can be general about that or specific about that, but when you're showing them how to do the same kind of a skill set and hopefully do it better, that's to me more invigorating, and you discover it a little bit more, discover more about yourself a little bit.
So, did working behind the scenes change how you viewed wrestling as an art form?
um from from like when I started training or when I started wrestling.
When you started coaching and mentoring and producing?
Yeah, I think gradually, and it came with maturity. Like when I was younger, like I didn't focus on the same things. Like I'll tell you what, like now most of the time when people try to get me to watch matches with them or they say, "Hey, did you see this?" I'm watching the audience like 70% of the time, just to kind of get a feel of the room and understand the tempo and the pacing and the psychology of it. I'm really just paying attention to the crowd. And sometimes there is no crowd. And in that sense, I'm just kind of like feeling the atmosphere more than anything, and the vibe of the overall thing, as opposed to like, oh, your left foot's out of place here, you know, your face wasn't up for the camera here. Like those are really small technical things. So getting the chance to kind of coach over and over and over again and making those discoveries and learning production and the side of that, like everything kind of happened gradually. You start unlocking more kind of tiers to what's important. So yeah, it definitely helps a lot. But you also got to want to learn that side too. So if you're not into it, then that's fine. You'll just approach it from a different vector.
So, now with being a
Mm.
coach, what is something that the younger generations of wrestlers have taught you that may have surprised you?
Oh, I think the younger wrestlers, it's more about uh tolerance and acceptance and sensitivity, and I think that's just the general flow of things with culture, and it's not just in wrestling, it's in life. um it's really nice. It's really nice to see like the level of support they have for each other. I'll give you a great example. So our very first fundamentals group, when they graduated at Catch Point, which was over 2 years ago now, almost 3 years ago at this point, and they would do a thing after their practices where unprompted we would give them a chance to like ask questions and stuff. They would all just get together as a group and kind of support. And these were eight dudes. We didn't have a girl until the second class. Eight dudes would just get together and they would just kind of like huddle up and just kind of talk about their day, and they would talk about like what they thought they needed to work on or who did really well, and like support each other. And they did that on their own, like organically. I couldn't see that happening like when I was training. Like that wasn't a thing that people did. It was more about like survive the day and just keep going, or else you don't get to keep going. For them it was, come on guys, we can all do this, and they were trying to share in a dream and a vision and a goal. And I don't know whether if it was just the format of the class where everybody was brand new with the same kind of goal in mind, but I think a lot of it has to do with the temperament of the people, as a whole. It was a bunch of guys from different walks of life, different age groups. We had, I think it was age 18 up to like late 20s in that class. Maybe a 30-year-old or two snuck in there. But they were all on the same page and like super supportive of each other. It was really sweet. It was really, really sweet. So I think having that kind of grace, that's something that I take away from them very, very seriously.
Yeah, no, and to speak further on that, I've even myself from a fan's point of view, like I've noticed a lot more camaraderie nowadays amongst the wrestlers themselves as I did when I first started watching wrestling.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's true. I think the camaraderie is way deeper.
So, what is a piece of advice that you've given to someone that you still remind yourself of today?
Oh, I think a good piece of advice is that, you know, whether or not you do something, the earth is going to keep turning either way. So if you have a goal or have something in mind that you're like just kind of waiting on, or you're procrastinating or whatever, like time is just, it's ticking away. It is ticking away either way. So, that helps me inform whether or not I'm going to do something usually.
So, when you are helping someone improve in the ring, what is usually the first thing that you notice?
um I mean, I noticed their temperament, like how their nerves, their anxiety, their kind of like headspace. I try to notice that, number one, first and foremost. Then I look at, how they're feeling physically, from a load perspective and like a range of motion kind of perspective, and you know, we take it from there, and then we see, we break down the things technically what we need to work on, and then we start talking about the goals, and it all just kind of builds slowly, but it's always going to be the temperament and like how you're feeling and the nerves and all that stuff, and how you handle that kind of thing.
And how do you balance respecting wrestling's traditions while also encouraging it to evolve?
I think a lot of the traditions, it's supposed to be rooted in, hey, the show doesn't happen without each other. Like the reason, we were taught to, when you get to the venue, you got to shake everyone's hand. The reason we were taught that is because, we need the other person to do this. So, giving each other that respect of, hey man, looking forward to wrestling with you today. It's whether someone wins or loses, like you don't get to do it without the other person, right? um I think that's the big one for sure.
So, wrestling has taken you through incredible highs and difficult moments. But looking back, what do you believe has been your biggest lesson in your journey?
Hmm. Let's see, my biggest lesson. um I would say, it's just to never have all your eggs in one basket. That's never a good thing. I think that's a great lesson for anybody. um and you can only control the stuff that you can control. It has nothing to do with what other people think or feel, or what other business decisions are happening at the time, or booking decisions are happening at the time. Like at the end of the day, like you're responsible for your own emotions, your own feelings, and your own actions.
So, has your definition of success changed over the years?
I don't know. I don't know if I ever really had a definition for success. Like I never got into wrestling with the goal of like I got to be on WrestleMania one day. I never had that. I never had the goal of like I got to sign it, get a contract. You know what I did? I had sitting in the crowd at CZW in the soccer arena at Champs, watching Amazing Red do a flip that looked impossible. That's what I had. Or I had Sick Nick Mondo springboarding off of a rope, uh, onto a ladder trying to drop a leg on somebody. Or I had Zandig standing up on top of a
A
crow's nest
roof.
before the roof. I had him standing on a crow's nest wearing a leather jacket looking like a cross between Bret Hart and Triple H, and doing a splash through a barbed wire flaming table on Lobo. Like that's what I had. And I had, ooh, I can do this, I think. I never had like I need to go to the top, make the most money, be the best. That was never my thing. Um so
So,
success for me is really just getting up and being able to do what you like to do. That's it. and like you can't do that without I think having longevity in mind. I think that's a foundation for how we train people at Catchpoint, is that the idea is to be able to do what we like to do for as long as we want to do it comfortably. I want people who are starting out as wrestlers to not only like be able to do it for a long time, but I want them to be able to, get up in the morning and like go play with their kid, when they're older, or be able to do those or go to the grocery store without, having to have a cane too early because they have arthritis built up in their joints. It is extremely physical, so success for me is just being able to live comfortably and have fun.
So, is there one moment in your career that may have completely changed how you viewed yourself?
Oh, I don't know. Like earning promotions, kind of like that kind of stuff. It just gives you more confidence. I don't know if it's changed, how I view myself as far as a performer goes, or as far as like a person goes. Maybe, getting a contract, like, okay, now I have to step it up and learn how to be more responsible. From a career standpoint, having to bring my family down to Florida, that's a big one, right? But yeah, I don't think anything like there wasn't one and then of course this whole time. It was a slow, gradual growth. And I think that's always been my my philosophy on things.
And what is something that you've had to forgive yourself for over the years?
Maybe just being too critical, of again, things that you can't really control. Like that's something you always have to kind of humble yourself over. Like you have like maybe your hopes set on something, or and that's very easy. Like I learned that from year one, to get your hopes set on like getting an opportunity or doing something. And when that thing doesn't come around, it's okay to feel upset about that. It's like you're not supposed to hide that. At the same time, you got to do it professionally, and you can't shut opportunities down for yourself too, or you don't want to fall into a depression and hurt yourself in the long run. So like, but all those feelings are very valid and they are very normal. So I think, having those moments of frustration or anger or disappointment, like that's part of being a human, and it's a good thing. It's a healthy thing, actually. Yeah, as long as you're able to kind of just stay the course, everything kind of works out anyway. Like I said, the Earth's just going to keep spinning. Just like this background for Smoke Meteoras, with our planets and meteors flying at each other. It looks like a space war.
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't know what I wanted when I was like coming up with the new background and stuff. I had the name. I was just like, I don't know.
Smoke Meteoras. Hey guys, War of the Worlds. Give me that. Give me that.
Like poster. I just kind of gave the name to my graphic designer and was just like, here you go. Figure something out for me, because I don't know what I want.
They had fun with it for sure. I feel like Superman's landing on a planet, and like, I don't know, it's raining crystals for some. It's glass, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty.
Yeah, we're calling it the space station for now.
That's what we're we're live in the space station. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right. So outside of wrestling, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this because your life is wrestling. But outside of wrestling, what is something that keeps you grounded?
Oh, family, for sure. Yeah, family keeps me grounded. They very much live in the real world, not in the wrestling world. But it is what it is. So just trying to stay in touch with them will always keep me grounded.
And what do you hope people understand about you after hearing this conversation that they may have not understood before?
I don't know. I mean, if it's the first time hearing me, I mean, maybe you're getting a sense that like I'm a pretty laid back dude for the most part.
Exactly. And you're not a dick. You're not especially a woman.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll tell you this though, I can be brash. That's the Philadelphian in me. I can be very brash and very honest. But that is 100%.
I will admit, you calling me out in the crowd that day is definitely what broke the ice between us.
You were talking trash.
I was telling Tyree to kick your ass, and then you told me to say it with And then he told me to say it with my chest, and I was like, man, what
Yeah.
chest?
No, say it with your full chest.
All right.
But you're
And
quick. That's good. That's a quick response.
but that was probably the best response I've ever had. I can't lie.
Pretty funny. Yeah. Should write that one down.
So, if someone listening wants to master their own craft, whether it be wrestling, music, business, or anything else, what piece of advice would you give them?
Just start. Start it. Start it now. Do it. Go and do it. Go and do it. And then if you have a specific goal in mind, find people that have achieved the things that you want to achieve and like model them.
And what is one part of your story that you believe does not get talked enough about?
I don't know. As far as like my personal story, I don't mind like what people talk about or not. Like for me, that's not a big deal for me. Yeah, I've never felt like I needed someone to talk more. Man, I wish they knew more about my time on the wrestling team at Northeast High School in Philadelphia. Like I don't know. I don't need that. Or I need, man, I wish people knew more about the time me and Sammy Callahan were stuck in an airplane trying to land in Chicago, but we had crosswinds. And we started throwing up on the airplane as we took back off and headed to St. Louis. Like I don't need more people to talk about that. It never bothered me one way or the other what people say or not. So as far as I wish that I'd make a good impression, when I get a chance to, and understand that like I like to be very honest. Yeah, that's something I'm never going to change. So I hope people see me for that at least.
And what is something that you are curious about to learn next?
Oh, let's see. I mean, I've been trying to get better at like just like personal training kind of stuff with like new ways to kind of help people in the gym. I think that's something I've been growing recently. So I'm excited to dig more into that side of things. I have a good understanding of it from my background and stuff too, but that's something I haven't ever prioritized as far as focusing on. It's just something that's kind of always been adjacent. So now I have a chance to kind of dig in and learn more of that side too.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, last serious question. When people hear the name Drew Gulak years from now, what do you hope they remember beyond the championships and accomplishments?
I mean, I hope as a wrestler, they're just like, man, that guy was an intense bad. Like his stuff always looked real. Like I want that feeling. Like, one of the coolest compliments I'd ever received when I was even younger in my career. I was working for EWA in Maryland, and there was a dad and his kid used to come watch those shows. And the dad came up to me at the merch table one time. He's like, "Oh, when we see your matches, we always look at each other and we're like, okay, this is going to be a real wrestling match." Like I always thought that was like the coolest freaking thing, and that stuck with me. So if I can have just like a small percentage of that, that would be nice.
All right. So it's been almost an hour. We've talked some serious wrestling, but now it is time to completely unhinge this podcast.
Oh, I'm nervous.
All right. You get to replace the main character of one Disney movie with a professional wrestler. Which movie is getting a new leading star and who are you casting?
What do we have a limit on the Disney movie that we pick?
Whatever Disney movie, as long as it's Disney.
What's the most Disney movie you could think of?
The most Disney movie? Oh God.
Yeah, like
I think like the princess movies.
like Cinderella, like that kind of
Like
thing?
Cinderella, Snow White, like the
Snow
classics.
White. Okay, so we're replacing Snow White with Brock Lesnar. Give me that movie. Don't change anyone else. Prince Charming, still Prince Charming. Like it's not even Prince Charming. Whatever the woodsman or whatever. Keep it the same. I want to see Brock Lesnar as Snow White.
I can just imagine Brock like in the dress running around with all these little fucking wood animals.
Yeah, and the dwarves.
And the door.
Yeah, hi ho. And
I'd watch it.
he's just there doing this. Yeah.
All right. Every wrestler has now received their Hogwarts letter and are being sorted into the Hogwarts houses. Which wrestler is secretly a Hufflepuff and who is the most obvious Slytherin?
Secretly a Hufflepuff?
Yep.
Let's see. Which wrestler is secretly a Hufflepuff? I want to say like secretly Braun Strowman's a Hufflepuff, but it's like very obvious that he's a
Yeah,
Hufflepuff.
I was gonna say I feel like that's an obvious one.
It's very obvious. So like secretly a Hufflepuff.
I feel like Drew McIntyre.
Oh, he's a Hufflepuff for sure. I know most people would think he's a Ravenclaw, but he's a Hufflepuff.
I'm like, I feel like Drew McIntyre could be a name to throw in the hat.
I'm a Gryffindor. I'd be like, no, dude.
No, throw the yellow on, bud.
He's a good one. That's a good choice.
And the most obvious Slytherin.
Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You are now a Pokemon Gym Leader.
Oh, hell yeah.
What is your Pokemon type and who is your choice for Pokemon?
Oh, I'm a psychic. I'm a psychic type. Yeah, Mewtwo. Mewtwo's my guy. My sad cat genetic baby. Yeah.
All right. You can attend one concert from any point in history. Who are you going to see?
I mean, I love Muse in concert. I think they're incredible, like live. So I would just go see them again.
You have to perform a karaoke song with one famous musician. What song are you picking and who are you choosing?
I'll Tell It to My Heart with Taylor Dane.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. I wouldn't even feel bad because she's such a good singer that I just wouldn't even try. I would just, just enjoy it. Just enjoy the moment.
What is something that you are a complete nerd about that nobody would know?
If you follow my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Drew Gulak, you'd know pretty much I'm a nerd for a ton of stuff. Something that you wouldn't know about though, I don't know. I'm pretty open with my nerdism. I've never been shy to like talk about that. I have tons of Pokemon cards back here. Is that surprising?
A little bit. I mean, you're a 90s kid though, so I guess not really.
That's not really surprising, right? I think that's it. I'm not really a nerd for stuff that doesn't make sense for
like
this.
All right, so being a 90s kid and being into Pokemon, were you ever into Yu-Gi-Oh?
No. That was a little bit after me. Like I was early 90s. So
okay.
Yeah, I was born in the late 80s. So I grew up like Pokemon. I was like red and blue, the first cartoon only. Then Yu-Gi-Oh started having like, what's this new cartoon?
Yeah, because my brother was 89 and he was super into Pokemon, but I think because he was a little bit later to it, then Yu-Gi-Oh had kicked in and like Digimon and all that. He never really got into Digimon, but he loved Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. I wanted to get into Digimon because that was the same time. But Yu-Gi-Oh, my brother liked Yu-Gi-Oh a little bit. But it was just the kids in school for me were there. Everyone was into Pokemon or the Attitude Era.
Yeah, no, I carry a Blue Eyes White Dragon card with me from Yu-Gi-Oh everywhere I go.
Hey, I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you for
it's in my wallet. I can't help it.
Yeah.
All right. You have to live inside one video game for the next month. Which game are you choosing?
Something with plumbing, definitely. So that means like I'm not going to live inside like a Zelda, because I don't think they have any running water from what I've seen. They just go in the river. I haven't seen that.
If that's your case, then I guess you're taking The Sims. At least there's bathrooms.
Well, that's a little different. I would go crazy if I can't understand what the people are saying. And I'd hate to wake up in the pool one day and not be able to climb out, especially like I'm a good swimmer. So
they let you get out of the pool now. You can get out of the pool without a ladder.
They stopped letting people get murdered.
Yeah, you can't drown in a pool now unless you put a wall around
Yeah,
it.
like I would like traditionally say something like The Sims or Sim City or Roller Coaster Tycoon, something like that. But there's just so many factors that could lead to like a horrible time. I don't know, man. And like I would say like something like Cyberpunk would be fun to live in, but there's just so much crime and like chaos going on in that game that it wouldn't be any fun. I need something like, oh, you know what? Maybe like Animal Crossing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be on an island just chilling I could survive a month there, eating fruit from my trees.
All right. The final question. Which childhood toy do you believe deserved its own movie?
That didn't get one?
Yes.
Uh I think every childhood toy I have had a movie version of it at some point. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, like Power Rangers had several movies, Ninja Turtles had several movies.
Yeah, G.I. Joe has a bunch. Got a bunch of Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Like even Mortal Kombat had movies, but that's not like childhood toys.
yeah, like we grew up in the time when everything had movies, right?
Yeah.
Childhood toys though.
See, like I think childhood toys and like the two things that come to mind are like the fucking Bop Its and like the
I was just gonna say skip it.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was like, what the fuck is it called?
Yeah, skip it was a big one. Like if we're
But
talking
that's
like
what I remember from my childhood. But
you
like
know what would have
none
been
of
a
those.
weird movie? How about Gak? Remember Gak?
Oh yeah.
The green blob.
But I feel like we already have like a movie based on that because we had Blubber.
Oh, that's right. We did have Flubber. Um, hmm. Damn, I'm at a loss now. Maybe
I'm like we came
creepy
from
crawlers. Do you remember that?
the little like the goo ones that you made.
So it was like an easy bake
Yeah.
oven for boys. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had one of those. I loved that.
Yeah. I had that too. But then they stopped making them because people were getting burned. That would have been a cool
Yeah.
movie, I think, like a creepy crawlers kind of movie,
Yeah.
maybe.
All right. All right. Well, that is everything that I have for you. So
We're
thank
going
you.
home on creepy crawlers.
All right. I feel like I need like a big question to end on. Let's see. What else? What else do I have in my plethora of random ass questions? Oh, I have like a whole page of like 150 random questions.
Sweet.
All right. You wake up tomorrow morning and find out that you are the new president of the United States. You don't have to go through anybody to pass any laws, none of that. You can just put whatever law you want right in, and it's a new law. So you get to create a new law as the new president of the United States. And what is that new law?
I mean, do I get to like abolish all of the the crappy stuff that's been going on in the country for the last like 8 years and 12 years?
Whatever you want to do. You can say that people can only wear the color yellow from now on for all I care.
You want a silly one, or do you want like, hey, everyone should be able to marry who they love, like that kind of stuff?
I mean, that's a given.
Yeah.
But let's make it ridiculous.
You would think, all right, something silly. Okay.
Yeah.
Something silly. I think breakfast should be free. That's not even silly. That's like something that would be great. Breakfast, just one meal free for everybody for breakfast. Like no matter what restaurant's serving, if you're doing breakfast, everyone gets a meal for free.
Hell yeah. Well, all right. What's your favorite breakfast food then? If we're talking breakfast.
Oh, I'm a Northeast Philly Jewish boy. I like my my everything bagels with lox and cream cheese.
Ew.
Oh yeah, so good.
I don't like cream cheese. I'm one of those weirdos.
Oh, then you're shit out of luck. Yeah, you can't do that. You
Nope.
can't do that. What do you put on your bagel?
Butter.
You butter? Butter's underrated. Butter's very underrated. Yeah.
I made myself a steak last night. I had no idea what I was doing, but I put an assload of butter in it, and it tasted great.
Hell yeah. Makes everything better.
All right. Well, that is everything I have for you, Drew. Thank you so much for taking some time to join me. And thank you to everybody viewing at home. With that being said, where can we catch you in these next coming weeks if you have any upcoming shows? Otherwise, where can we keep up with you on social media?
Yeah, no, I got a show this weekend over in New Jersey for Super Havoc Pro. It's their rebranding debut. I'll be wrestling Tim Donst, who's a blast from the past. I got that match coming up, and then I'll be wrestling at Gotham Wrestling in New York, and a few other places here and there. You guys can catch up with any of my stuff going on at drewgulak.com. That has a link to my resume and also to my schedule, my touring schedule. Then you can follow along at twitch.tv/Drew Gulak, where I've been live streaming every night, and we're having a great time. So come pop in there and meet the crew and be part of the community. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's about
Support
it.
a sleep deprived Drew Gulak.
Yes, yes. Come nourish me with your energy so that I could stay awake a little bit longer.
Well, that is everything that we got for you guys this week. Thank you to Drew for joining us and sharing his story. And thank you to everybody watching at home. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, share, send this to your grandma. I don't care. Send it to somebody. But with that being said, this is the last episode of July. Officially, I know I said that last week, but we are officially taking the rest of July off as I still don't have my start date for my new job and don't know what my schedule is going to look like. But once that happens, we will be back in August with, I don't know how much bigger and better I can get than Drew Gulak, but I'm going to try. We're going to try.
I believe you can do it. You can do it,
But
Marissa.
with that being said, that's everything we got for you guys. We will catch you back in August. Thank you for joining us.